Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have been talking on this book, Opening the Hand of Thought, and according to my record, this is the 170th book of this book. I talk almost paragraph by paragraph each Dharma talk. And this morning, I'd like to talk on one paragraph, the last paragraph of page 106, if we have this book. Let me read this paragraph. Nevertheless, this peace is not the cessation or extinction of life. It is not seclusion or escapism. Far from it, living in peace is the unfettered realization of life as life, and is not at all off in the clouds. Rather, all reality, undisturbed by thought, is reflected as it interdependently appears and disappears. Genuine peace is like a clear mirror that simply reflects all images as they are, without anything sticking to it. This is almost the end of this section, starting page 89, section 6, the world of self unfold. And this, in this section, Okumura Roshi discussed about the meaning or significance of Zazen practice in the modern society or modern civilization. And first of all, he said in this section, people in this modern civilization are too busy, always chasing after something to reach the goal or to accomplish something. That means we all have some kind of dissatisfaction. That means we don't like who we are or the condition we are living. So we want to make it better. And we set up some goal and try to reach the goal by making effort or working hard. This is the energy of so-called development or improving. And that is a driving force of modern society. So the driving force of this working hard is dissatisfaction. And Okumura Roshi also said, all human beings in any part of the world has been making effort in two ways. One is making progress, as we do in modern society. But another aspect of human life or human civilization is find a peace of mind. And as far as we are working hard based on dissatisfaction, it's very difficult to find a peace of mind. Peace of mind is realized by kind of religion or spirituality, by worshipping the nature called gods, or worshipping some kind of religion, or in Buddhism, in the case of Buddhism, taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We find some peace of mind. But somehow in the modern ages, religion lost the power, or authority. So we put too much emphasis on this side, dissatisfaction, and reaching the goal, making effort or working hard. That is the basis of Uchiyama's discussion to talk about the meaning of this Zazen practice. That means he think we need peace of mind. But peace of mind and development, making effort, working hard, seems opposite. When we face peace of mind, means we are satisfied, we have satisfaction, and we have gratitude. We want to live in harmony with who we are here and now, and all other beings. So his discussion, how can we find a peace of mind without the energy to work hard, to diligence? That is the point. And he started to discuss about the main essential point of Buddhist teaching, that is the middle way. And he thinks Zazen is a middle way between these two extremes. One is working hard based on dissatisfaction and reaching the goal. When we live in this way, we are always chasing after something. That is greed, or escaping from something, that is anger or hatred. And that is how our life, according to Buddha's teaching, our life becomes samsara. But how can we find a very peaceful and stable foundation of our life, where we can find a peace of mind without losing diligence? And diligence is one of the eightfold noble path taught by Shakyamuni, or also one of the 6 parameters, that is the practice in Mahayana Buddhism. So both early Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism put emphasis on diligence. But both early Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism encourage us to find us peace of mind, or being free from desire, greed, and also anger or hatred. How can we work hard, work diligently without delusion? Without desire, without dissatisfaction? I think that is the point of Uchiyama's discussion about the meaning of Zazen practice in modern society. So how can we find a peace of mind without losing the energy to work diligently? And basically what Buddhism and Uchiyama is talking is dissatisfaction and setting the goal and find the which is better, which we want, which we don't like, came from our thinking. Either this side or that side, I like this, or I think this is valuable, or I don't think that is not valuable. So this discriminating thinking is functioning in our mind when we live in the modern way. So Okumura Roshi point out the essential point of Buddha's teaching is middle way between, in Buddhist terms, the idea of In Japanese, u-ken and mu-ken. U is being or existence, and ken is view, and mu is non-being or non-existence, and ken is another view. So u-ken and mu-ken means u-ken means we think everything existing as we think, and mu-ken is nothing exists. So this is almost like a nihilistic view. Nothing is mind, or nothing is important. Everything is just as it is. From this view, there's no way, we cannot find a point to work diligently. There's no direction. But when we think everything is fixed, then we also lose the possibility of peace of mind, because we make decision, this is good, that is not good. So we have to be a good side or positive side and negate the negative side. Then we start to chasing after something we think valuable, or escaping from something we don't think valuable. So that samsara, that way of life, is caused by our thinking. That is Buddha's teaching. So what Buddha, and in order to be free from these two views and find the middle way, or Chudo, is middle way. We need to find being free from both extremes, and see the reality as it is. That is, I think, very basic point of Buddhist teaching, from Shakyamuni's teaching until Mahayana or even Dogen. And he started to talk about actual zazen. And in this sitting practice, we sit this upright posture and keep our eyes open, as I always say, and breathe through our nose deeply from abdomen, and keep our eyes open. We don't close our eyes, and we let go of all different kind of thinking. Even though we sit this posture, our brain is still functioning, and a function of our brain is produce thought. So our zazen is not a method to stop this thinking. So thoughts are there, but we don't think. I always said, this is like when we drive a car, put a gear into neutral, the engine is still moving, but the car doesn't move. So our brain is still producing thought. We don't take any action based on this thought. That is how we become free from either views. Depending upon our personality or our experience in the past, we have certain system of value, a certain way of thinking. But we don't take action based on those thoughts coming and going. That is how we become free from thought, and that is what we do in our zazen. That is what he's talking until the last paragraph. And So here we are free from this thinking, make discrimination, and making judgment and choice. But Okumura Roshi need to discuss about another point of this zazen. That is, this zazen is not stop working. That means this zazen is not lack of energy to work diligently. So that is the second point of Okumura Roshi about this zazen. So by letting go of thought, we find a peace of mind. We don't need to chase after something or escaping from something. We can settle down here and now. Even though thoughts are coming and going, we don't take action. Or we are not moving ourselves based on those thoughts. That is how we find a peace of mind here and now. But in this paragraph, he's thinking that this zazen or this peace we experience in zazen is not a lack of energy, energy for diligent work. So let me start to talk about this paragraph. Nevertheless, this peace we experience in our zazen is not the cessation or extinction of life. That means within our zazen, our life is still functioning. And this is not death, this is not like a death, but our entire body, all the parts of our body is still functioning. Even our brain is working. So it's not a cessation or extinction of life, and it is not seclusion. Seclusion means escaping from the world and stay in a quiet place and doing nothing. That might make our life peaceful. But as a Bodhisattva practice or Mahayana teaching, we should not escape from the world. Even when we live in a quiet place, that is a part of the world. So the point of our practice is not escaping from the noisy, busy, material world, or escapism, but we sit according to Dogen Zenji, we sit with all beings within this entire world. So there's no place to escape. And living in peace is the unfettered realization of life as life. It's not our thinking about life, but within this sitting and letting go of our any kind of views, we settle down within life, and life manifests through this body and mind. So life functioning as life, but usually we think we are the owner of this life, and therefore I can control the life. That is a very basic upside down way of thinking. But in our zazen, by letting go of thought, our life force, functioning and also manifesting as life. So in this case, life is not possession of this person, but rather this person is a part of life. Within this, interconnectedness, we are part of a very small part of this interconnectedness. So by sitting and letting go of our thinking, we simply become this network of interdependent origination. So within our Zazen, this interconnectedness is restored, and is not at all off in the clouds. That means our mind is still working, even though we don't grasp them. And rather, all reality, undisturbed by thought, without disturbing by any kind of thought we might have, all reality is reflected as it independently appears and disappeared. So in our Zazen, we are not the owner of this body and mind. But this body and mind is simply the collection of 5 skandhas, and things are coming and going. The air comes through our nose and go down to the lung and coming back. So air is coming and going, and the food we ate this morning is in the process of going out. It came in and go out, and even our thought, or our knowledge, or thought is also somehow came in the process of our life. And in each stage of our life, some thought stays, but some things that were important when I was a teenager is not important at all now for me when I'm 67. So some thought are coming in and we grasp, and this is very important. But in the process of life, something go out. So even our thoughts are coming in and going out. Nothing stayed forever. That is fact, impermanence, and also nothing is substance, or no self means in Buddhist teaching. But somehow we have this grasping and think this is me, or this is most important. And everything against my thinking, my thought is wrong. So we have to fight against those people who have different idea. But our Zazen practice of letting go allow us to be free from such fixed view and fixed system of value, and allow us to see that things are coming and going and staying for a while, but changing. So by letting go of thought, we are free from our fixed way of thinking, but it doesn't mean we stop thinking. Thoughts are still coming and going. And by practicing this way, we can see what kind of thought is simply fantasy, which has no contact with reality. And another kind of thought might be closer to the things actually happening. So we start to see, by seeing reality beyond thinking, we start to see, there are different kind of thought, and some thought are closer to the reality, and other thoughts are simply nothing to do with the reality. So, but when we are involved in thinking and humbly grasp, our thinking, we don't see whether how close our thinking is to the reality, because we are actually within thinking. Or we are grasped, or we think we belong to our thinking. So these 5 skandhas, this body and mind, have to follow this thinking. Then we cannot see the reality, but our life become like a story in the movie. And we think things happening in the screen is only one reality. But when we see things happening on the screen is not real reality, then we can enjoy the movie, and we can study many things. But if we think the things happening on the screen is reality, then we have problem. But often we think what we think is reality. But so this Zazen practice is helpful to see what we are thinking is not reality itself, but it's a kind of a perception, like things happening on the screen, and we can be we can ungrasp our way of thinking. And finally he says, genuine peace is like a clear mirror that simply reflect all images as they are without anything sticking to it. So our Zazen is like a clear mirror without any dust. That means the clear mirror can reflect everything happening as they are. That is, this clear mirror is a symbol of Buddha's wisdom. But this does not mean in our Zazen we can see the reality as it is, as an object. What is happening in our mind is still things happening in the screen. That is perception. That is not real reality. But things happening, including our thinking, our perception, our view, is part of this reality. How things happening when these 5 skandhas and other things encounter something happening. And in our Zazen, we don't see, we just see. So this Zazen is the mirror, but it doesn't mean our mind become like a mirror. Our mind is a part of the mirror, but our mind cannot see the reality as it is. Our mind, whatever view or perception we have, is somehow distorted or processed through our karma. Karma means everything we experienced in the past. So there are, in our Zazen or in our life, there are 2 kind of layers. One is the way we think, the way we view using our mind or function of our brain, and the reality as it is, including what is happening in our mind. And usually we only think about what I think and do things based on our thinking. But when we become free from our thinking, we start to see the reality that is a little different from what we think. What we think is not the real reality. But some thinking is closer to the reality, and the other thinking is very far from the reality, or very much biased. And when we see, the reality is beyond thinking, we start to see the thinking more clearly because we are not involved. And I think this is very important part of Zen teaching. During last Genzo-e, we studied one fascicle of Shobo Genzo entitled Muchu Setsumu, and it was kind of difficult fascicle. But part of that fascicle, Muchu Setsumu, is expounding dream within dream. Dogen Zenji said kind of an interesting or strange thing, that is, whether we are holding or letting go. Holding is grasping, and letting go is open our hand. This is what we do. We grasp our thinking, or we let go of our thinking. So whether we are holding or letting go, we should study the weighing scale to measure things. That is ordinary mind. Ordinary mind is a translation of hei or ryo, jo, shin, pyo, jo, shin. Shin is mind, and byojo means is often usually translated as ordinary mind. And famous expression about heijoshin or byojoshin is byojoshin, the ordinary mind is the way. And this is sayings of very great Zen master Mazu. And we all of us like this expression, ordinary mind is the way. But we have to think, what is ordinary? I think ordinarily we think ordinary mind is things happening in our mind day to day, and we have like and dislike, and we make this distinctions, and I want to get that and I hate that thing. We think that is ordinary mind, but that is not the meaning of this expression, byojoshin, or ordinary mind, in the original. So we have to be careful when we listen to this kind of Zen teaching, ordinary mind is a way. We feel I don't need to do any effort because everything happening in our mind is the way. But that is very different from what it meant by this original person who coined this expression. That is Mazu, or Baso in Japanese. So this is the original person saying about this ordinary mind. Mazu said, the way need no cultivation. This cultivation is practice. So the way need no cultivation, making effort to gain, to get. Just do not defile. We should not defile the way. And what is defilement? When with a mind of birth and death, when with a mind of birth and death refer to samsara. And our commonly we think our ordinary mind is this mind of life and death. I like this, I hate that. But he said, when with a mind of birth and death, one act in a contrived way, making choice, I like this, I hate that, this is important, this is not important. A contrived way, then everything is defilement. So Mazu is saying what our mind usually do is a defilement. Therefore, this is not the way. That means this is not the ordinary mind. If one wants to know the way, if one wants to know the way directly, ordinary mind, in this translation, both O and M, ordinary mind, are capital O and capital M. So this is not that means this is not the usual common meaning of both ordinary and mind. So here he said, ordinary mind is the way. So this ordinary mind is different from a mind of birth and death. What is meant by ordinary mind? No activity. No activity, no right or wrong, no grasping or rejecting, neither terminable nor permanent, without worldly or holy. This is the ordinary mind according to this is the master. And this is the original meaning of ordinary mind. So ordinary mind is mind without any discrimination. I think this is really important to understand this, expression of ordinary mind is the way. So this ordinary mind has nothing to do with our psychology usually function. That is, making discrimination, and I like this and I hate that. The sutra says, neither the practice of ordinary people nor the practice of sages, that means deluded or enlightened, that is the bodhisattva's practice. So in bodhisattva's practice, there's no discrimination between deluded people and enlightened people. Both are included within this ordinary mind or bodhisattva's practice. Just like now, whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, responding to a situation and dealing with people as they come. Everything is the way. Everything is the way. This is the original meaning of this word, Byōjō Shin. And this is what Dogen is saying. So in this sentence, he is saying, our mind is like a weighing scale to measure. To measure things means to make discrimination. But what he's saying is, in order to measure things using this weighing scale, we need this ordinary mind. That means no discrimination. How can, this weighing things, that means measurement, and make distinction, and making evaluation, and no evaluation, no distinction, no discrimination. How can these two be together? In our common understanding, these two are opposite. They cannot be, together. But Dogen says, in order to gain this weighing scale, we need this ordinary mind. That means to really making this discrimination, we need to see the reality beyond discrimination. Otherwise, our discrimination is biased, is one-sided, influenced by our karmic way of thinking. So once we become free from karmic way of thinking and see the reality beyond discrimination, then our thinking become more realistic or closer to the reality. Does it make sense? So both are there in our Zazen. And his Dogen's kind of interesting statement is, when we have learned this scale of ordinary mind, scale of ordinary mind means discrimination and non-discrimination are both there. This is the scale. The weight of things appears to our eyes and begins to carry out the expounding of a dream within the dream. This expression, expounding dream within dream, is, as I always say, we are existing as a part of this network of interdependent origination. This is Indra's net in another teaching of Mahayana. We are all connected with other beings within this entire network. So, and Dogen said this entire network is one dream. Dream means nothing is fixed. And we are part of that dream. And we start to see and expand what dream is like within the dream. That means we perceive and thinking and try to understand what this interconnectedness working. And we are part of this interconnectedness. This structure of our being is, according to Dogen, expressed as expanding dream within dream. Usually this expression is used as something nonsense, something doesn't make sense. Dream is something not reliable. It's a illusion. So expanding dream within dream usually commonly means doing something delusive within delusion. But Dogen used the same expression in a very different way. That means even Buddha's expounding Dharma, expressing the reality of interconnectedness, is expanding dream within dream. He explained this interconnectedness, even though he was a part of this interconnectedness. So this is a kind of complicated things, but that is, according to Dogen and Okumura Roshi and my understanding, that is happening in our Zazen. By letting go of our thought, we become free from the mind of life and death and see the reality before our thinking. Then we start to see how this thinking, we usually think the owner of this body and mind is created or is produced. Then we are, in a sense, we are not deceived by this thinking, but we can see the real nature of thinking or discrimination. So when we see this ordinary mind, he said, the weight of things appears to our eyes naturally, not by our thinking. That means when we are free from our system of value or way of thinking, then the things within reality appear to our eyes before that things is processed in our mind. That this being processed or cooked is Okumura Roshi's expression. When we have some experience, we process that experience in our mind and make interpretation and evaluate. I like this or I don't like this. That is how we process the things happening. And in that case, we think this person who is processing is absolutely right. Otherwise, we cannot live as a person. But when we see the reality beyond thinking, then we can be even a little bit free from our way of thinking. That is how our life becomes even a little more closer to the reality of things really happening in this network of interdependent orientation. So our Zazen is not a way to see this network as some kind of object of this person's perception. But by letting go of any kind of thinking, we simply be there. Simply be there means including the function of our brain that create self-centered or biased views. We don't kill those views, but we are free from those views. That is very kind of a subtle or profound meaning of our Zazen. So even we cannot see the virtue of Zazen as an object. That is why Dogen said we have to just sit without evaluation. When we evaluate our Zazen, then Zazen becomes the object of this person. So a few paragraphs before this, Okumura Roshi said we should not evaluate our Zazen. So what Dogen is saying here is when we see things with letting go of our karmic or fixed way of viewing things, we become closer to the reality. And and this Zazen practice allow us to not to be deceived our thinking. But we don't kill our thinking. Thinking is really important, at least according to Dogen. So our practice is not eliminate thinking, but our practice allow us to be open our hand and letting go of thought and see the nature of thinking. Well, it's 11 o'clock. That is what I have to say this morning. So what Okumura Roshi is saying in this paragraph is our Zazen practice of letting go of thought is not a extinction of life function. Our life stop functioning, but our life become more, how can I say, function more closer to the reality. Our doesn't allow us to be free from our selves, our way of viewing things. That means our karma. But we need thinking. To expand dream within dream, we need thinking. Well, any comments or question, please?
So in the paragraph that you read, where he said something about the unfettered realization of life as life, does he mean then our karma, our thinking doesn't get in the way, doesn't disturb life, and
yeah, we don't see those things are owner of this body and mind, but this part of our body and mind. Okay. Please.
It's a little off topic, but when you're talking about progress and peace of mind and religion is sort of a pursuit of the peace of mind. Question that's always come up with me, I don't quite understand within Buddhism. I sort of know how it's thought about in like Christianity and other stuff, like religion versus spirituality. Like within Buddhism, what is the difference?
I'm not sure. What's the difference between religion and spirituality? I think that is a Western concept. Religion in Japanese, religion is translated as shūkyō. Shu is truth itself, original truth, and kyo is teaching. So Shu is the reality or dharma Buddha awakened to. That is beyond thinking. But in order to share this reality, Buddha started to teach about this reality. That is what Shūkyō or religion means in Japanese. That means truth and its reality, its teaching, or teaching and the truth of what is taught by Buddha. And when Japanese people translate English word religion, the translator used this word as an equivalent of religion. But religion, English word religion, literally means to be tied, to be bound with God again, right? So return to God. So Shūkyō and religion are different, really very different. So Buddhism or Shūkyō is not religion, and religion is not Shūkyō. And yet somehow we have to use these two different words as one, the same concept. So I'm not sure in Buddhism or in Japanese, the difference between religion and spirituality. What is the point of this difference?
I think, well,
it sounds like spirituality is more like personal thing, and religion is like a institution, religious spiritual institution or organization. Is that what you meant?
I think so. I think it's sort of like a loaded term and dichotomy. It's set up like the person who is religious, just follows what is said in the book, versus someone spiritual, they don't necessarily worry about the book. They just do their own thing.
So spirituality is more like a personal pursuit of reality and truth.
Yeah.
But that difference, of course, is there anywhere in the world. Even Buddhism is an institution. And once someone or most people become a member of this institution, they stop thinking. They just follow the teaching of that institution. If that's what religion means, then that's of course not a problem. Okay. Daniel?
I wanted to ask about the mirror at the end of the paragraph. When you said that you can't perceive the mirror with your mind, but you can sort of be the mirror, I guess, in a sense. And that reminded me, I guess, of Dogen saying that you get realization with your body and not with your mind. Is that sort of the same idea?
Yeah, he said because body and mind are one. So it's not, we cannot say, what he said in the Imonki at that, in that talk is, as far as we are thinking in our mind about what is truth, truth is not, is kind of object of this person's thinking. That is not the way we can really experience the truth. But truth or reality should be, not should be, but actually is the way we are, and we, in a sense, participate in that interconnectedness, using both body and mind, these five skandhas as one thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Please. Excuse me.
I was just going to say another, I'm trying to cope with this word spiritual. There's another dichotomy that people come up with is not spiritual vis-a-vis religion, but spiritual vis-a-vis material. So that non-material sort of slips into or is included by spiritual. I don't know where I come down on all this, but that's one of the ways around it. They just step aside from that one dichotomy and they look at it this other way.
Spiritual and material.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not a question, right?
No, I'm sorry. It's more a
you make a comment.
observation.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
question. I mean, I have a lot of questions, but
So
that's...
I don't need to answer. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I wanted to ask a couple of questions about ordinary mind as it was used this morning. Ordinary mind includes thinking in this, the way that we were discussing it this morning?
Yeah.
Okay. So, ordinary mind then also seems like it is not deceived by the notion of an independent self. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, next. Ordinary mind includes experiences that are unpleasant, but is not motivated by aversion to avoid the unpleasant. Okay, next. Ordinary mind includes the experience of pleasant, but is not motivated by greed to grasp or obtain or sustain the pleasant.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your simple question. Okay, anything else? Please.
I have a question about measurement.
Measurement.
Measurement. You've indicated several times in the talk that we get closer to reality, that getting closer to reality has to involve a measurement. Measurement has to occur, it seems to me, based upon the totality of our experience arising from ordinary mind. My concern, my question, I guess, focuses on what the role of karma is in that measurement. I've always understood karma to be composed of three elements: positive, neutral, and negative, that come about as a consequence of our actions, from my perspective, both in this life and past lives. That it's the sum total of our unconscious being. When you talk about the 8 layers that existed before, and that it comes in on almost a cellular level. It seems to me that measurement is not a disregard of karma, which I thought you said, but it does seem to me that measurement has to come as a consequence of karma, all of the elements that would blend together to produce a better value judgment coming closer to reality. And that in turn, it seems to me, has to hinge upon the three things, non-attachment, no anger, and avoiding delusion. And that really is the measurement of reality. When we talk about it being a measure, and that the middle way is achieved by the balancing of those three measures, which are really determined, and determined is what I'm troubled by, I think, determined by karma. So the issue becomes, how much free will do we really have, given our karmic past, to arrive at a solution that is within the ordinary mind, but perceives the greater reality?
Well, I think, the karma is part of the reality of our life. So even we letting go of thought, we cannot erase our past or the influence from our past. So karma should be part of it. And even what I'm talking came from my karma as a Buddhist. I was born in Japan and studied Japanese culture, including Buddhism, and I became a Buddhist. That's why I think in this way. So what I'm talking about being free from karma came from my karma. So, but not only me, even Buddha or Dogen, it's the same thing. So karma is the only thing we can use to be free from karma. So even Buddha was free from karma when he became Buddha, but still he spoke Indian language, I think. And he thought in the Indian way and expressed the Dharma that is beyond such a, karmic things. That's why his teaching is still meaningful to us, even though I know nothing about Indian culture or Indian way of life, but still what he taught, when I read in Japanese translation, it must be different from Indian language. Still, what he taught makes sense to me. So only thing we can use is karma, and part of our karma is thinking. So what I'm talking is what I learned, studied from Japanese Buddhism, and also from my own experience. So this is really a karma. So karma and thinking, is, as I said, is only kind of a tools or device we can use to express this reality beyond the karma. That is a problem.
Well, it is the measurement.
Yeah.
And it can only
That
be
is
the
how
only measurement ultimately.
only
Yes.
measurement we can use,
Right.
and expound Dharma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else, please?
I was just thinking, but with the sun there, for some people, I'm not one of them, but exactly, but they don't get to that part, they don't go that far. They get something like the thing with spirituality vis-a-vis religion. They step off of that, and it's spirituality versus materialism. Well, I've heard some expressions that remind me of this discussion about measurement. And somebody I know, wrote a book, famous novel, and the protagonist is an older guy who's working for a young Englishman who's very thoughtful, blah, blah, blah. And the Englishman is bothered by death, and the old guy has a lot of experience, and he says to the Englishman, he said, "You think too much." He says, "That's your problem." And then he said, "Clever people and grocers, they weigh everything." And then he said, "To be alive is to," and this is the kind of guy he is, "undo your belt and look for trouble." So that's the end of his problem.
Or the beginning.
But I think that's rather than this kind of philosophical stuff. stuff I'm interested in.
Okay, thank you. Okay.